So I've been asked recently to give an explanation to final expense agents how pre-need insurance works and what a final expense agent could do possibly to combat against the risk of a pre-need policy being sold instead of a final expense plan. My name is David Duford, owner of Duford Insurance Group, where I train and recruit agents nationally to sell things like final expense, Medicare, and annuities, both face-to-face and over the phone. So this question kind of came up here a couple of times in the last week. I actually had an agent that didn't make a sale because a client decided to go to a funeral home and do a pre-need plan. And I had some agents kind of asking, kind of following up, what does all this pre-need stuff mean and how can we sell against that? So in case you're new, let me explain to you what pre-need is, how it works, and what the benefits are relative to final expense plans. So pre-need plans are life insurance plans. They're sold by life insurance companies. But they're specialty type life insurance plans that are sold typically through funeral directors or funeral homes. And the concept is very simple. These are what's called paid up type plans. They may pay up in a single premium payment. They may pay up over the course of many years, up to 10 years is the maximal extent. And in exchange for making those payments, the certain parts, not all of the parts of the funeral or the service or whatever it is the client's buying, are locked in place. They don't have a price increase. And then also there's the insurance portion of the policy that of course covers the client if they happen to die earlier than when the policy is paid up. This is a strategy that combats against the ever-increasing pricing of funerals, the inflationary aspect, which is tremendously high, even higher than the producer price index for generic or the basket of goods on average. So it's a great seller for a lot of people that prefer to do business with a funeral home. But of course, those people might also be interested in final expense. And what can you do as an agent to combat against the potential of dealing with something like a pre-need competitor taking your client from you? Well, the first thing is this. I will argue that the vast majority of the time, if you're truly working the final expense market, that a pre-need policy simply is not going to be an issue. Even though there are benefits to a pre-need plan, you can pay it up, you can lock it in with a particular funeral home. Actually, it's a life insurance policy, so it's portable between different funeral homes. The thing is that the biggest reason why it's not a competitive thing that we should really be concerned with the vast majority of the time is simply because of the price that it takes to get this pre-need plan compared to what we could do for final expenses. So I'll give you a perfect example. I have on many opportunities sat down with final expense prospects, and again, true final expense prospects, very low fixed incomes, disability, retired, little to no savings whatsoever. And they have expressed an interest in going to the funeral home and starting up their plans there as something also that they're considering. My rebuttal to that or conversation typically switches and involves asking questions such as, well, do you have any idea of what those plans run? And they usually say no. And I'll say, well, if you go get a plan that costs, that may maybe run 5 to 10 years to cover your funeral, you're looking at roughly, and it's going to depend on your age, but roughly $150 to $250 a month. Is that something that you could even afford? 9 out of 10 times, they throw their hands up and say, no, I don't even make, 4 times that much a month, much less I can afford something like that. That's crazy. When I hear that from a client, I've effectively dismantled the pre-need objection that you would otherwise hear. It's not a problem anymore because they have financially decided for themselves it's well out of reach, okay? And so what will happen is, of course, our products are better because our clients need something that's easily affordable. And a final expense life pay plan that we sell 99% of the time is way better for the budgetary purposes of the client than a paid up plan, even though you could argue the benefits. What good is it if you can't afford it, right? And that's ultimately what it comes down to with our final expense prospects. You got to be able to explain to them, pre-need is great, but it comes at a high price, and get rid of it by simply asking, is that even in your budget? And if they're a true prospect, they're going to say, no way. What do you got? Because I can't even touch that. Whereas sometimes you'll get people who are not final expense prospects, but will get them on a lead, because sometimes people fill out leads for all sorts of crazy reasons, who knows why. But occasionally we'll come across people that aren't your typical final expense prospect, and they'll express an interest in going to the funeral home. And if that's the case, and you tell them the pros and the cons, and they're still not disturbed, they don't want to leave a legacy behind, they don't believe in life insurance ownership for any other unexpected expenses, I believe you either haven't built the value well enough, or more likely, if you say an agent of mine that follows my script, they're not a prospect. We, as agents in DeFord Insurance Group that sell final expense, we have 5 criteria to determine if a prospect is qualified or they're not qualified. And it's need and want. Do they need this plan? Do they want that plan? Do they have the health? That's easy. Health doesn't really matter. Do they have a bank account we can draft, or direct express card? And do they have a budget they 100% agree to? If out of those 5, even just one of those they don't comply with, they are now officially unqualified. They are a suspect. They are a low odds opportunity, and we want to leave. We don't want to do business with them. The likelihood is next to nothing that we will, so why spend another minute there? That's my rationale I teach to my agents. So when it comes to pre-need plans, if the need or the desire is not on what we do, after explaining some basics of it, explaining and comparing and contrasting with the pre-need, and they just don't seem interested, guess what? They're not. It's time to hang up with that prospect, leave the house with that prospect, and go find somebody that actually appreciates what you do. There's no use in wasting excess time with an unqualified prospect. And many times people who aren't deterred by the extreme cost of a pre-need plan, they're not prospects. They're prospects for pre-need. Maybe they're prospects for annuities, MedSups, Medicare. I get it. Then maybe you can sell them something else. But if you're a specialist in final expense like I am, and that's all you sell as a personal producer, then that means the show's over and I need to leave. So I hope that gives you some perspective on how to deal with pre-need. It won't happen that much, especially if you set this up in terms of the cost and whether or not they can afford it. If you like this kind of training, if you think this is great, wait till you join my agency, because I do this kind of style and detail of training every single day live with all of my agents that want to join. Certainly we have all of the training you need in forms of scripts, real life sales calls, analysis, carrier training, lead training, etc. Everything you need as an aspiring final expense producer to master this business in a short period of time, so you can go out and take your license and actually do something with it and help people who really need their help. So if you're interested in possibly joining my organization, you want to learn more, there should be links somewhere up and around here, but certainly below as well. Click that link. It'll take you to my FAQ page. You'll learn more about how my agency works there. If you like this video, please subscribe, thumbs it up. Certainly, if you have a comment or question, leave them below. I answer all reasonable questions and comments when I see them. Thank you so much for watching. David DeFord logging off. See you next time. Bye.